Greetings and salutations. We are on day number 7. Yes, day number 7, 8, 9, 10. Day number 7 of Global Goals Week. And today we're talking about Sustainable Development Goal number 9. And this is about building resilient infrastructure, promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and fostering innovation. And there are a bunch of ideas in there. We're talking about industrialization with innovation and infrastructure that unleash dynamic and competitive economic forces that generate employment and income. It took me a long time to kind of settle in with this one because somehow this idea of more industrialization in a world that is approaching, let's say, the issue of scarcity in terms of resources, in a world that is battling climate change because of overconsumption, is a very tricky balance. Indeed, we can certainly understand that we cannot consume our way into a sustainable future. We cannot consume our way into a flourishing world. And we have to, in fact, redefine what it means to have success, to be flourishing. Thomas Siskard said the most sustainable way is not to make things. The second most sustainable way is to make something very useful to solve a problem that has not been solved. So as I started thinking about this idea of manufacturing and all what has happened to us since COVID, I tried to think about what it is that might be a headline we might want to see in this sustainable future with resilient infrastructure and inclusive and sustainable industrialization and innovation. A Smart Futures headline possibly would read something like, uh, in the island of Nonsuch, they have succeeded in 90% recycling of all their plastic waste, all their spare tires, and indeed, the island is on its way to becoming 100% regenerative circular economy. Now, this is a very big dream and idea, but I think perhaps islands might be the first place that we can begin to look at this issue and to solve this problem so we can come to the day when we can see how we can accelerate development of the way we do industrialization while at the same time meeting our 2030 targets for waste consumption and waste reduction and plastic use and energy use and all the things that go along with it. So, what are we to do when we want to think about then this idea of a responsible, what is it? Responsible, sustainable, resilient infrastructure, right? The R in SMART stands for robust resilience. And certainly when we talk about resilient infrastructure, Caribbean countries and countries in the floodplain and even countries in inner city areas and inner city states like in America are dealing with tornadoes and all the ravages of climate change. And so we have to really think hard and long when we say resilient, what does that mean? But largely, this goal focuses on the industry and the innovation and industry sector. And so let's think about what in this resource constrained world we can do to make a difference around this idea of the circular economy. I thought I would take my conversation that way. Now, circular economy is about doing things in such a way that we move from a take, make, dispose economy to take, make, reuse economy, right? So like this, so we have less things going into our waste stream. So we're talking about the creation of new products with reverse logistics. We're talking about scaling up recycling so that we have an overhaul in that system. We're talking about sustainable packaging, for example. We see this whole idea of single-use plastics. In fact, there's this conversation that because of COVID, we're back to using single-use plastics and single-use waste matters because we don't want to catch disease. So it's a very tricky thing, this move to circular product value chains, which were really in the infancy stage, now compounded by COVID, which is saying, no, we got to protect ourselves from diseases. And so we have to indeed go back to single use. So we need to really think long and hard about this. And perhaps we will have to continue doing single use for some time. But then the question is, can we recycle? As opposed to throwing out and burning and forming more carbon pollution, can we indeed recycle? So let's see how we might take this. All right. What are opportunities? High quality recycling, optimizing use so that things last longer, and certainly developing new economic models and meaningful metrics so that the focus on the business proposition is not so much on short-term profit, but also cradle to grave economics that take into account the cost of disposal. No more it's away, because in fact there's no away. Wherever a way is somewhere. There's some land that's been used for landfill. There's some air that's been made toxic by burning the waste, unless we find ways to reduce and reuse and recycle. So let's think about some of the things that we've been seeing. We've been seeing, for example, a company called Black Bear that is making something called Carbon Black, which is that reuses tires. Then there's a company called Remade in Holland that gives engines new life. They're remanufacturing motors and pumps and gearboxes. And we see another company such as Winnow, which is measuring using smart meters to measure electricity and water, and also have created a smart meter that actually analyzes our trash. So there are quite a few people and companies trying things that are exciting, but we're still not yet creeping up on the rate of change we need in order to get things done by 2030. I want to sort of close off the loop by maybe talking about a company or a person that when I heard about it, I couldn't take my eyes off of her. I was totally just in love, enthralled. And this is none other than Veena Sahajwala. Let me try it again. Veena Sahajwala. Veena Sahajwala. She is our seed of hope. She's the founder of Green Steel, and she's an inventor and professor of material science in the Faculty of Science in University of New South Wales, Australia. She is awesome. You should all go and look her up on YouTube. There's lots of stories about her. Born in Mumbai, and work she's been doing in researching and recycling. And just the joy on her face as we watched her combing through waste and saying, this is useful, that is useful, was just so exciting. She's brought us a lot of excitement to this conversation on recycling, which sometimes we need to get us, stirred up and fired up. She is fired up about waste. She not only has been, let's say, the hero of this idea of green steel, reducing the carbon used in steel, she also has developed something she's calling, let me see, micro factories. And in her micro factories, she's using these factories to recycle truck tires and recycle electronic waste and recycle a lot of waste matters and at the same time create jobs. So her first microfactory indeed focused on recycling e-waste from old technology. I mean, it's just simply fantastic. She also has talked about recycling glass and textiles into green ceramics. So not only green steel, we'll have green ceramics. And she envisions it in a world where you no longer have to chop out mountains from Italy for marble, but we can make marble from waste bottles and waste fibers. Absolutely fantastic. Veena Sahajwala. She's my seed of hope. I went way over time, even when I thought I had nothing to say. And I'm glad I'm squeezing it in. And I'm going to end right now, midnight. Thank you so much, Ubuntu. We are done.